All right, you guys gotta bear with me. I'm not using my normal setup today, so my microphone may sound a little bit off. Just forgive me because I'm using the chest mic so I can give you guys some type of communication, okay? So I think you guys can remember sometime in April, June, we started building this project, right? So now we are at the final stages where we have to master it. So I wanted to go through that experience with you all. So what has been done is as we all know, we started out with, some basic drum instrumentation. Let's listen to a few of them, for example. For example, we hear this loop here that goes like this. Okay. Very simple loop, right? Then we also have this shaker that goes like this. Okay. So I add that along with a loop to kind of give it, a bit fuller tonality. Because see, without this, it sounds a bit more wide, and which is fine, but I just kind of wanted it to be fuller. You see, it's cool, right? But I'm like, okay, let's make it a bit fuller with this, you know? So now it sounds a bit fuller, right? Kind of out of place, but it's okay. Then I did this tom here. Let me switch my screen to this, so that way you guys can see whatever I dial up, okay? So with this here, I did these toms here with just a simple instrumentation where it's just like a sampler loaded in there, okay? And I just basically, play something very simple, okay? So with an instrument like this, I play this, something like this, okay? Right? So very simple. Then I also did the conga. I used the conga to do this. Very simple, right? Right? Very simple, okay? Then I use the cowbell. Now cowbells I usually don't pan. I usually keep it centered. But I wanted to pan this because of the loop. You see this loop here? It has a cowbell already. Listen to it. You guys hear it? I just wanted to give it a distinct sound by having this also. Okay, then it goes like this. You guys see that? So it make it sound like that cut that's playing is now far back, right? Without what I did, it just sound like that, right? And then this here. Okay. Now to complement with that, I decided to go ahead and do a clav, okay? So the clav will do the same thing the other one is doing, so with the clav it sounds like this. You see the clav, I kept it a bit centered, but you see how I pan it to the left? I'm doing that on purpose. You know why? Because this loop here is playing that on the right, and I don't want them to be on the same side. You guys hear it? Far right? Right? Go right. Go right. Go right. So I decided, you know what? Let me do the clav to the left, okay? And I made the clav a bit stronger. I made it a bit stronger so that way it can have a strong feel. Okay. So together, the cowbell stuff will play this together. Okay. Along with the shaker that I added will sound like this. Cool? All right, cool. So anyways, that is a few basics of what went on, and we added a few other, drum instrumentation, something like the whistle. Very simple. I like both of it, so I was like, I'll use both, you know. I didn't have to, but I just wanted to have fun. I decided to use both. Okay, cool. So that is what we got going on that side. And of course, we added a drum recording, a snare recording that we did. That goes like this. Okay, cool. So we got that going. And then for the kick, we are using some type of gourmet thing that I played. Very simple. It goes like this. Something like that. You guys see that? Very simple. Then I added the kick to complement with that. You guys can see I made the kick lower than that because I want that to stand out more than the kick. So the kick is only going to hold that, and the kick is just going to consistently play the kick, okay? So it will sound like this, right? So together, those two will play like this. You guys see that? It's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if you like double kicks or whatever, but for me personally, when I was doing it, I wanted to have that feel, you know? Cool. So that's what I shot for. And the hi-hat, basic stuff, right? Basic stuff. And then the open hat, right? Cool. And then I decided to add this shot thing here. Hear how it sounds like. You guys see that? That's not how it naturally sounds like. I'm the one who mixed it and made it sound like that. I kind of just equalized it to sound like that. Okay. Cool. And then that's going on, and then the clap is also going on. And the clap, I didn't want to get crazy with it, so I decided to go for a different tonality. Okay. So that is all there is to it. And then the roll-ins, I did a separate thing for the roll-ins. If you wanted to hear the roll-ins, I don't know when they will come in, but they come in like this. Let's see if we'll get a few. You see, we got it a little bit there. Let's see if it's gonna come. Give it a few seconds. You guys see that? So the roll-ins. Cool. So in mixing, one thing that is optional is you can decide to mix all these plenty of instruments and try and balance them out the way you want. The reality is by the time you finish, you are going to be hitting hard with your meters, okay? So what I do is I create something called VCA, okay? It's very simple. Say, for example, I have two shakers, okay? And I want those two shakers to be one group. I simply right click it, or however you do it in your DAW, and I'm going to create a new VCA, okay? And I'm going to tell you what a VCA is. Basically, a VCA is going to be like a channel. You realize that these channels allow you to put effects on it, right? Okay, and you can actually treat it differently, right? But with a VCA group, you cannot do that, right? You see how you cannot add effects? You see how I can do it like I do here? You can do that with VCAs, okay? It's just simply for your final volume to kind of just balance it out. So what I did was I decided, instead of going through all these and bringing it up and down and stuff like that, I created a VCA group, which sometimes you could call it a subgroup, if that makes sense, or a matrix or something like that, sure. And basically with the VCA group, what I decided to do was I decided to do it in groups. So for example, in this group 2, you are going to hear more of the cowbell and the generic instruments. So something like this. Okay, and then that is what's happening in that group, okay, that VCA group. And you can also see it up here because I've grouped it, so you can kind of see what group everyone belongs in. Okay, by the way, I'm using Logic to do this. I use Studio One 2 right here. All right, so that is what that group is doing, okay? And then this is what group 1 is doing. You guys see that? You guys see that? So both of them have their own groups. I have all these busy ones in one simple group and then the simple one in one simple group. The reason is I want to be able to control those because there is some that I want to hear more than the other, you know, so that kind of thing. So you guys see the group 1. So that is instrument 1. I just name it that way, but it's VCA 1. Okay, so that is VCA 1. Okay, it's after the master VCA. Okay, so now with the VCA group, I have those two. Then also the toms, okay, I have it grouped. And we know that because they are right here. Where is it at? Right here. Toms, okay. You guys see that? Cool. So that's where the toms groups is at, okay? And then I have something called live, okay? So with the live, this is how I decided to do it. I decided not to group all these instruments. So starting from the EP to the guitar, the EP is this here. Hold on. I have this grouped. So let me go to the EP only so I can explain it better. So EP. Okay, so that is the EP playing. Okay, so that is the EP playing, okay? So I have that in that group, and then also my guitars. See, I could have had my guitars in their own separate group, but I realized the EP and the guitar, there's not much to it because I don't have horns in this song. There's no point of me creating a separate group for that. Let me just keep them all in the same group, okay? So all these things you see soloed are in one group, okay? And that's why you can see live, 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 live. I just call it live, okay? All right, and you realize I didn't add the bass. Why? Because I want to be able to control my bass separately, okay? So that's what I'm saying. It's not everything you need a VCA for. You just got to be strategic with how you do your fence, okay? And also you can add it and just adjust it in here, okay? But for me, I feel like there's no need for that. I only want to create a VCA for something I want to control as a group. If I'm not going to control the bass as a group and I want it untouched and I want to treat it separately, there's no point of me creating a VCA group for that, okay? So that is where you get the guitar and the EP from that VCA group. So VCA group 1, 2, 3, and that's VCA group 4, okay? Okay. You guys got the idea, right? Cool. So that's what's happening there. And then for my vocals, okay? So for my vocals, I have 2 of my artists singing this song. All 3 of them were supposed to do it, but one of them was struggling to sing. So I decided to just have 2 of them do it. You know, so Angela's voice is the main lead. So that's her voice here. Okay, and also Navi's voice is in there too. So with Navi's voice, you can hear some over here. So with their lead voices and also a slight ad lib or extra layer that I added. You see this extra layer here is just one time here and a few times here. Those extra layers, I have it automated, okay? So it's not really effective. It's just automated to, you know, make slightly to none much of an impact, okay? So with that, okay, I have it grouped to one, their lead voices, okay? You see how I've soloed this VCA and it's playing just their lead voice and the whole song is not playing? And the thing about it is, if Angela's voice come, Angela's voice will also come because it's part of the lead group. You guys see that? Her voice is playing, okay? Cool. So that's what that is for. And then these are the BVs, okay? So for the BVs, they start from, I call it 1L all the way through 6R, okay? So basically we do BVs in two parts, okay? So part 1 will be left and right, part 2 left and right, and so on. I don't have time to say soprano and all that stuff, okay? I just go number it, go straight to the point, okay? So anyways, you see the BVs are soloed. So when I play, this group will play because it says BVs, right? So that group will play. You guys see that? So you guys see that? So that is what is happening in the BVs section, okay? So the purpose of you creating the VCA is to really control your final output, okay? Because you don't have time to come back here and mess up your mix. You know, so all I'm trying to say here is whenever you do your mix here, you want to mix as low as possible. You realize I'm not too high, but still, regardless of that, I'm still clipping. So that's why you create a VCAs to control the fact that you are clipping. Okay, so without me creating the VCAs, we're probably sitting somewhere around maybe +4, maybe +3. Then with the VCAs, we are able to control that, okay? So then the groups that don't have a VCA is something like my bass. Because my bass, I want to be able to control that separately. And then also my kick and my gourmet thing, I want to control that separately, okay? So those are the only two that I don't add into the VCA group, okay? So if you hear those three, it sounds like this. All right, you guys see how it sounds? So that is how I like it. I want to be able to control it separately so that way it doesn't conflict with my overall mixing, okay? Cool. So let's go through a few basics, okay? So whenever I'm mixing sound instruments or like let's say drums or something like that, okay? My first thing I like to do is EQ. You guys can see EQ across the board, okay? EQ, all right? And all I do is I listen to the instrument. Whatever I don't like, I cut out. Whatever I like, I boost a little bit, okay? It's that simple. Okay, so for example, maybe this instrument, I may have liked something within this frequency, I boosted it a little bit. I may have not liked something within this frequency, I cut it a little bit. And then I felt like maybe I don't need the low, so I cut it. I don't need the high, so I cut it, okay? Maybe I wanted it to sound a bit boxed in. Anytime I want something to sound a bit boxed in, that's what I end up doing, okay? So when it comes to the EQ, it's just that simple. Go through it, find the frequency, the frequency range you don't want, find that place and then just cut it out or boost it per your needs, okay? And it's just that simple when it comes to EQing. Then when it comes to compression, okay, I like to do basically 2 levels of compression, okay? So my first level of compression is just a way of saying that I want to overly compress it, okay? I like to overly compress it. Then after that, I like to okay, so let me explain it to you so it sounds better. It makes better sense, okay? So here you can see I have something like a tom, right? Where is that tom at? Here you can see I have something like a tom playing, right? So without any equalization, see this is the EQ, right? So without the EQ, it sounds just like this, okay? Nothing is wrong with it. Okay, actually let me take out the reverb too. Okay, so without the EQ it sounds like this, okay? Now with the EQ it's gonna sound like this. That is me doing this. It's not you just click and it comes. No, you're gonna have to do this work. You guys see what I just did there? So here it's tiny. Here I box it in. Okay, it's just my preference. And if you guys see the analyzer here, it's telling you that this frequency is where most of the peak is at. So you guys can see why I just allowed this range to go up a little bit, right? And I cut it here and I cut it here a little bit, because I'm not really focused on there. A lot of the energy is in this peak. So that's why the mixing or the equalization look the way it looks like to you. Okay, you guys see that? So that is the equalization aspect, okay? Then it comes to the compression aspect. You guys see how it sounds okay. But now I'm going to compress it low. I'm going to really compress it and hear how it sounds like. You see, it kind of, I had to say at 10 I said pretty, but the moment I add that compression, watch what happens. It kind of takes away that thin, okay? It's kind of hard to explain, but I hope you have headphones to be able to see what I'm talking about, okay? Cool. Then, instead of me leaving it there, then I add another layer of compression. This is my final compression to bring it to the level that I want it at, okay? And I don't always use 2LA, 2LA, CLA2A. I sometimes use different things. As you guys can see over here, I decided to go with a different module, right? Which is like a mastering thing, but you could also use it for stuff like that, okay? So you guys see how it sounds like? So with this added, it sounds like this. You see, it brings it up a little bit. It brings the presence up a little bit, so you can now hear it a little bit better, but it's not drastically doing it. And you see slightly movement. I'm not like overly pushing it, right? It's there. It's like sitting back, and I push it a little bit. Okay, and that's all there is happening there, okay? So that's what I did there. Then, of course, my reverb, I added reverb to help it with room space, okay? So this is going to bus 1. So when you come to bus 1, here, it's a reverb that I've set up over here, and that is what it's responding to, okay? Cool. Or it's reacting to, let's put it that way. Okay, so when it comes to drums, these drum instruments, for the most part, I go through the same process with all of them. I do my EQing, I go through my slide compression to just get it at the levels that I want. So for example, let me tell you something. So for an instrument like this, you can see I cut it a lot, right? And most times you don't want to overly compress a hi-hat. I want to just use that as an example for you. But you realize that I cut mine a lot. You see my hi-hat? That is a no-no for a lot of you guys. But for me, personally, I'm okay with it for this mixing because that's what I'm shooting for. So for example, hear it without that compression. You see how it sounds natural, right? But then with that compression, I'm gonna bypass it on and in and out, so you hear the difference. So right now it's off. Well, it's not like no compression because there's a final compression on there. But I'm saying this compressor, I use to kind of limit it in a way. It's like I'm compressing at the same time I'm limiting it, kind of. Okay, I hope it makes sense. It kind of serves kind of like a limiter too. So just see how I do it, okay? So over there, it sounds like this right now. Okay, that's a bit more natural, right? But then the moment I turn it on, watch what happens. I'm gonna turn it on, so be ready. Okay, watch. I'm gonna turn it back off. I'm gonna turn it on. So you might be asking yourself, why would I really compress it like that? Like I said, generally we don't really compress and hi-hats in mixing, but for me personally, for what I'm shooting for, I like this feel better, okay? And I'm going to tell you guys why. So right now I'm going to turn that compressor off, okay? Then I'm going to play the shakers, okay? And here's something. So I'm going to play the shakers. Now hear the hi-hat without this concept of without this concept of the, you see I have it off and I have it off here too. So hear how it sounds like with the shakers without me overly compressing it like I'm explaining, okay? So hear how it sounds like. Okay, you see it sounds cool, right? But now I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna turn it on and watch how it sounds like. Okay, I'm gonna get ready to turn it on. Watch how it sounds like. Okay, I'm gonna turn it back off. Hear how it sounds like. I'm gonna turn it on. Hear how it sounds like. So I just want the feel. I'm not trying to get it all out of place. I feel like the normal snare is out of place for my taste. Okay, and so that is why I've mixed it that way. So like I said, I've never ever, I usually don't mix hi-hats to this level, but because of what I'm doing with this song and what I'm trying to achieve out of it, I decided, you know what, let me do a very, very, very hard, it's like this is a hard compression, seriously hard compression, you know, very hard compression, okay? And that's what's happening over there. So I hope you guys get the idea. So now you guys see why I did it like that, right? Without it, with it, cool. And the same concept goes with the open hat. Most times I mix my hi-hats the same way. So if I do that with that, okay, so the open hat, I decided to open it up a little bit just to kind of give it variation, okay? So hear how that sounds like. Hear how that sounds like. You see that? It came. You guys see that? So with that, I decided to open it up a little bit more. I didn't keep it too compressed like I did with this, okay? But you guys see that. You know, you gotta have fun with these stands so you can get the best results, okay? Cool. So that is a little bit of that. And then also when it comes to the with the reverbs that I sent out, okay, I decided to create one for, you know, there are multiple instruments in here and it's too many instruments. So I decided to do two groups of reverb, okay? So one group will go to one and then one group will go to two. That's how I like to do it. Sometimes I even do three depending on the instruments that are involved, especially if a trumpet horn session is involved, okay? I will never send that to the same thing, okay? All right, I'll have its own separate thing. Then for the vocals, I decided to do two as well. So the first one is going for the lead vocalist, and then the second one is going to the BVs, okay? So if you hear this one, it will just be, it's just like for the lead vocalist. And then if you hear this one, it sounds like for the BVs. Okay, so that's what that reverb is for, okay? Cool. So I have four groups of reverb, two for the instruments, two for the voices. However, generically speaking, I can create multiple reverbs for different things, right? Just to keep it a bit cleaner. But for me, I'm not overly doing it, right? As you guys can see, I'm not like overly using reverbs. You know, it's just a little sand here and there. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go for it. It's cool. So with everything explained, that is kind of how I went about with the mixing process when it comes to the instruments, okay? So since we've talked about the drum instruments, let's hear how it sounds like all together, okay? Including all the three VCA groups that I've already talked about, okay? So I think I talked about it. I didn't talk much about the horns, right? So the toms. So let me talk a little bit about that. So same process with that, okay? So for example, with the toms, let's go for the tom 3. Tom 3 is the low end, right? So you guys can see I boosted a little bit of the low, right? But you realize one thing with the rest, okay? Tom 1 and 2, You realize I cut it, okay? I cut it, then I boost the range that I want to hear more of, okay? It's just that simple, okay? And then tom 2, you know, I boost that range. Okay, I didn't do much of a cut here because that kind of has a bassy type of feel in there, okay? So that's kind of how I went about with that process too, okay? And that is that. So with that said, at least you guys have an idea of how, you know, how I work these instruments out. Okay, I have to check the crash to make sure it sounds the way I want it. Okay, I'll check that. Yep, so that's that. So let's see how everything sounds like with everything so far. Everything we've discussed, not the whole thing. Everything we've discussed. That's what I'm looking for. All right, cool. All right, let's save that. All right, you guys get a feel of how the drums sound like, right? Cool. So that is that. And then when it comes to the EP and all that, okay, again with the drums too, I didn't really talk a lot about panning, okay, but the panning is kind of just straightforward, okay. Again, if I'm doing this song with so many busy things happening, you know, I wouldn't want all of them to be centered, right? So that's why I have it panned the way I have it to create some type of stereo width. Okay, so here how this sounds like here. You see, it's playing on the left, right? Then hear how this is playing here. You see, it's playing on the left. You would think I'll put it in the center, but I don't because I have other instruments playing in the center, and I don't really depend on these. And this is on the right. You guys see that? You guys see that? So that is the whole point, okay? I keep it spread out so it doesn't clash with other instruments, okay? Cool. And it's not live. Everything is being played on a keyboard, so I was just doing random things. So don't mind me on the fact that it's not perfect. And this is kind of like a cover project anyways, so it's not like a major project, but still we're gonna make it fun, as we always do. All right, so that is that. I think we kind of get the idea there, okay, with the toms, okay? So now let's talk about the EP and stuff. So with the EP, same thing. I go ahead and, you know, cut out what I don't need, boost a little bit of what I want to hear, take away the low because it's not a bass instrument, cut a little bit of the highs, so we focus more on the mid-range, okay? And that's the whole purpose of that. Then I go ahead and do some type of compression, right? Not too compressed, just, you know, okay level of compression. Then I add my overall touch to it to get it to the level that I needed at, okay? And that's what happened with the EP. And with the guitars, same process going, okay? However, I decided to use a different taste of compressor, okay? And that is why you are seeing this here, okay? All right, so that is a bit different. It's a different type of compressor, okay? Cool. You know, it's really a mastering compressor, but you know, you can use it for different things, okay? You can also use it as a mixing, for mixing purposes. Cool. And there is one thing I forgot to do, and that is to do my sense, right? My sense. So I gotta do that. I gotta do my guitar sense, okay? That is one thing I forgot to do. So I guess you guys can see me do that, right? Cool. So the way we're gonna do that, let me play it a little bit. Okay, so over there, we are gonna send the guitars to that send. So the way it's gonna work is my main. Usually I like to do it as a group, then I tweak it. So let's just go ahead and do it as a group, because for the most part, they are gonna be about the same. We're gonna send that to 2. All right, you're gonna start hearing it there. You guys see how you're hearing it there? Without, with. You guys see? So for me to really focus on the guitars, I'm gonna just go ahead and unsolo this and just play just the live group, so that way I can hear that whole group and then make the necessary adjustments. Because the last one is a muted, I'm going to reduce that reverb a little bit. Okay, let's go from the beginning. Let me hear how the intro part sounds like. I think that could use a little bit more reverb. I think it gives it a nice feel. So let's do that. Okay, and that part B, guitar part B here, that could use a little bit of reverb too, to my hearing. Cool, so now it has some nice reverb to it, okay, and it's pretty cool. let's hear how it sounds like as a whole production. Okay, cool. I think that's fine. Let's go ahead and save. All right. Always, you want to be in mixing, you want to be saving your progress so you don't lose your work. Okay, always save your work so you don't lose your work. Cool. So with that said, we have that done, and so now the voices, the vocal chain, I'm just going to explain one. Okay, for the most part you see it's the same thing. RVox across, EQ across, DSR across, Apex Vintage across, Fresh Air across, gating across, auto tune across, and then my final compressor across. Okay, cool. All right, so with that, with RVox, it's just as simple as me compressing it and giving it some slight gating. Normally I don't do gating, which that brings me to a good point. That brings me to a good point with this. So what I'm gonna do is with the RVox, I'm gonna reduce this a little bit, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and place it with this. Cool. Cool. And then for Navi, I'll go ahead and cut it a little bit. I think it's fine. Just cut it a little bit and go ahead and replace it with this. Okay, cool. All that I'm doing is I'm just trying to control the gating so the wires don't cut out. Okay, because I have like kind of like double gating going on. So I have like a slight gating going on here. Then I have an actual gating going on here. Okay, all I'm trying to do is trying to make sure I'm not overly gating it. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Cool. So again, RVox to kind of just set the level that I want to hear them at first. Equalization to cut out the vocal ranges that I don't want. It's just that simple. I don't really boost with vocals. I usually just cut out things that I don't want to hear. A de-esser to just kind of control the, certain frequencies and certain things that I don't want to hear. And the Apex Vintage Exciter just to add a little bit of excitement to it. Okay, very simple, straightforward process. The Fresh Air, add more excitement. So I add slight excitement here, then I add more excitement here. All right, not too much, but enough so that it doesn't feel too light or whatever. And then I do my regular gating. Okay, then for my gating, I treat their voices a little bit to add a little bit of auto tune. Then I add my final. Then I send my bus to the reverb. Then I give them some volume or some, I dial up some gain for that group, okay, which is right here. Okay, that's the 3, bus 3. Okay, cool. And it's just that simple, okay? And I do that across the board for everything. And that's how I get what I get, okay? So let's hear how the voices sound like too. I guess alongside with the BVs.
Kakra mumya meni yedru heavy and I Kakra mumya meni yedru heavy and I Nayaome heavy and I yedru heavy and I kakra.
All right, cool. So you guys kind of get a feel of, you know, what is going on there. Okay, so that is just by the way, so you guys kind of see some of these processing. Okay, so with that said, we are gonna really listen. So I'm not going to be talking to you. I'm going to turn off my microphone, and I have to listen from the speakers because I'm getting ready to do this thing. All right, and we are going to actually master. Okay, so we are doing the final staging. Okay, we are doing the final staging of everything. So I got to really listen, make sure I like what I hear before I bounce it out. Okay, so one thing I will always tell you is always go through your project and inspect to make sure everything is the right way. If something is it's not supposed to be reading, you got to turn it off so it doesn't read. Why would that be turned on? Because automation is on and automation is reading whatever you've turned it on for, okay? So you want to make sure you are going through to make sure that whatever don't need to be read in terms of any type of automation works that happened, it's, you know, you're controlling that. As you guys can see, it's reading here because automation is on. 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 You don't see automation on any other place. The moment I click it, it's going to turn on automation, okay? So you want to make sure that the right channels are selected for automation, okay? You guys can see it's on here because I did automation there, okay? So you want to kind of inspect all these things. All right, so first things first, inspect your instruments. Make sure everything is the way it needs to be. Make sure whatever needs reverb has reverb. Okay. All right. So just inspect. Okay. So once you inspect and you're good to go, and you know you're good to go, then the last thing you're gonna do is you are going to make sure you check to make sure you don't have anything soloed or muted, or anything that needs to be muted is muted. You know, go through, check your solos and mutes, make sure everything that you want in there is in there. Okay, cool. So now that you have everything in there, I would advise you, if you did a VCA group like I did, go through them and hear them out a little bit, okay? All right, so again, this is what is gonna happen. I'm gonna have to listen to that out of the speakers. So I'm gonna explain it to you and I'm just gonna do it, okay? So first things first, I'm gonna listen to the instrument 1 out of the speakers. Then I'm gonna listen to instrument 2 out of the speakers. And after that, I'm gonna listen to both of them together. Then I'm gonna kind of just listen. I'm just gonna be listening and then making tweaks if I need to. Then once I'm ready to move to the mastering, I'm gonna bring my voice back and we're gonna continue to the mastering phase, right? Right now we are just finalizing mixing. Okay, cool. I just wanted to take you out along the road so some of you guys who ask me about this mixing stuff have something to kind of look at, you know. All right, cool. So let's get that going. Let me take my voice out. I'll be right. I'll see you shortly after this check. Okay, we're gonna go through the every VCA group we created and check all these groups. Okay, all right.
media. Aye ine media. And us in media. And chun media. In page media. Ya wono wahin. Yesu, 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 Yesu my medicine. About medicine. Ya wono wahin. And he no fury. Ya born a suahin. Or then in quarter or my father mebo, my father mebo, my father mebo, Yesu my baji, 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 baji. Come me more, come me more, come me. Pizza on chum chum. Baji, 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 baji. On I say, baji on chum chum. Baji, 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 aye. Baji on I say, baji on chum chum. Baji, 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 baji.
Okay, well, everything sounds fine. It looks like. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, then come for Bema Udino. I'll be ready on Quan. Yeah, die Bema wo. Yeah, they not say Bema wo. Yeah, they come for Bema Udino. I'll be ready on Quan. Oh, yeah, on Quan. Me damn yeah, on Quan. Yeah, die Bema wo. Yes, to my baby say, about body say, ya wanna worry, ain't no fury, ya wanna sue or then them quarter or my father may go, betchy, 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 why? Shy swag, I will pull Bonimu, some shy swag, a boss in more petrol, some shy swag, men Macayo, baby, Betty, some shy swag, men in the batching, baby, Betty, some shy swag, men play, baby, Betty, some shy swag, men Macayo, baby, Betty, some shy swag. Yes, 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 my lady. Yes, 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 my lady said. 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 About that said, ya wanna why? Ain't no fury, ya wanna sue or then them quarter or my father may go, my father may go, my father may go, yes, my lady said. About that said, ya wanna why? Ain't no fury, ya wanna sue or then them quarter or my father may go, betchy, 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 why? Betchy, wanna say, betchy, want chum chum, betchy, 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 come in more, come in more, come in, Peter, come in more, come in, special swag, come in more, come in more, come in more. Ewo pu bonimu, special swag, come in, e bosi mo petro, special swag, men makayo baby, baby.
All right. So I think it's cool now. All right. So I've checked everything. Everything is cool. I don't know if you guys realize I made some changes. This was at 4. I brought it to 0 because you never want your output to be above 0. Okay. So that might have been maybe while I was programming, maybe touch something, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. So that is that. And then what else? Everything looks cool. So let's go ahead and bounce this out, and then we are gonna um, we are going to export master it. Okay, cool. The mastering is going to be easy because I'm the one mastering, and I've already mixed it the way I want. So the mastering process shouldn't take long. Okay. Normally it takes long, but I'm mixing it well so that I don't have to do much work in mastering, okay? Which is why I created the Vca groups to really help with that, okay? Cool. So with mastering, let's save it. You guys realize how I be saving, right? I don't like to lose work. So let's go ahead, and what I like to always do is I like to always, for my masters, do in wave, 24 bits, okay? Not my final master, right? And also, it's always good, important that you know your project. Well, I think I'm doing this in 48 or 44. Let me make sure. Audio. I'm doing this in, let's see, recording. Where would this even be at? I'm always having to look for this thing. Of course, you can add your project details if you wanted to, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is project settings, general. I think it will be here somewhere. There you go. So I did it in 44.1, okay? So because I did it in 44.1, I'm gonna bounce, okay, in 24-bit, 44.100, which stands for 44.1, okay? Don't do something higher than what you recorded in, okay? So always you want to record high and then lower it or get it out the same way. Okay, so 44.100 is fine. Interleave is okay. Okay, and then dithering, none. Normalize off. Real time if I want to hear it back, okay? I don't want to hear it back at the moment. So I'll go ahead and do the PCM for the wave. Everything looks good over there. Then I do my MP3, set it to the highest, okay, 320. Set my mono to the highest and my stereo to the highest, 320. Then I'll go ahead and keep everything the same. Join stereo, keep it the same. Okay. Offline also, normalize off as well, okay? Cool. So then with this, now I can come into my project file where I'm working at, and I usually create a folder called bounces, okay? And then I'm gonna call this one, I call it a bibinyum, but for now it's okay. Let's continue with that, and I'm gonna do mix because this is the mix version, okay? So it's gonna be 2 files of the mix, okay? So it's gonna go through its course and do its thing. Okay, so while you're here, I hope you guys are enjoying this lesson and learning. I like to do these lessons just to help you guys, especially those of you who always ask me about mixing and stuff like that. I hope it helps you. Okay. Cool. So it's gonna go through its normal cycle where we at 1 hour and a half, almost. Interesting. So we are gonna go through this and we are gonna master it very quick. But with the mastering, I'm gonna go do it in two parts. I'm gonna do one that is just gonna be for live, and then after that I'm gonna come back to it and tweak it, okay? Because there are certain things I don't want to do in mastering. Okay, cool. So let's see how that goes. Yeah, so how this project started was interesting. We compiled a whole bunch of songs together, which I'll show you guys in the folder. We compiled a whole bunch of songs together. You see the prep stuff. We compiled a whole bunch of songs that I liked together, and then I came up with arrangement. So there were songs I heard on the internet. I was like, oh, okay, cool. These sounds cool. So let's go ahead and put some of these songs together and do something creative, you know. So that is it, you know. That's how we came about with doing this project. Yeah. It's taking quite some time because I was a bit busy with other things, you know. Yeah. So this thing is taking a long time, number one, because I'm streaming. You guys see this here, right? That is the stream software. I'm streaming over there, okay? So that's number one, the reason why. And number two, also because it's a large project from track 1 to track 40. It's a 40 track project. So it's a lot of work, and also there are a lot of processing it needs to put together, okay? So all that impacts how it works. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have questions for me. Um, if I see a question, I'll be glad to answer. If you have a question about mixing or anything like that, I'll be glad to answer. Yeah. Cool. So so once we have the layout done, then we can go ahead and basically right now what we are doing is called exporting. After that, we're gonna import, and once we import, we're going to create a separate project for the mastering aspect to just do the mastering, you know. So once it goes through this bouncing project, it's also going to convert it, especially because of the MP3. So it's going to convert it to MP3 because I did the MP3 export, okay. So that part should be a little bit faster. Yeah. Great. So now we are done. Excellent. So now that we got that done, let's go ahead and make sure we save one more time because we are going to get out of this project temporarily. And what we're going to do, so I was talking to you about, well, that's bad. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, I don't want to mess with your eyes, so let's do it this way. Okay. I just want to bring this up. So cool. I just wanted to bring that up briefly. All right. So like I said, all these songs you're hearing are songs we compiled. For example, if you hear something like Enkaminim, Enkaminim, this is how it sounds like originally. This is how we started doing it. It's not even Enkaminimo, it was Enkamemem, Memem as in said drowning. I thought it was Minim. The case corrected me later. All right, cool. And that's how that is. And then this one is on Dio. All right, I don't know if you guys can hear it. Let me see. Yep, you guys can. Good. So that is that. And then and you know how we started, we did Heaven. You guys see that, and then this. So that is, I heard all these songs, I liked it. I was like, hey, let's put it together and let's come up with something, you know. That's how we came. So even with the idea, I think I started out with something like this. Hold on, right here. I think it's this here. So this is the original way that I started working on it, and it sounded like, right? Have deleted the other one, but so Angela is the main lead for this song, so that's her. So that's around the time she was learning how to sing the songs. That's her practicing. So that's her practicing. So you guys see, we started from somewhere to get there, okay? Anyways, that's not the point of this. Let's get straight into the mastering aspect. So we put it in bounces. So we are going to bring the wave. The MP3 is just there for referencing, okay? So we are going to import. Cool. So you see, we have a nice wave. It's not, we have a lot of room. So this is why I did what I did to make sure we have a lot of room to work with, okay? And you guys can see there are no effects active at the moment. Everything is dead on here, okay? All right, cool. And we are not going to use all these, by the way, okay? We are not going to use all these, by the way. Let's go ahead and put last on the chain. Let's put WLM. Let's see if I can find it. WLM meters. WLM plus stereo. Okay, so let's use this to check our LUFS. Okay, cool. So we're gonna actually, is there a way? I like how Studio One allows us to pin this one. Let me see. This one, I don't even think it allows us to pin. Studio One allows us to pin. Yeah, I should have probably mastered in Studio One. Anyway, it's not a big deal. So first things first, whenever you're doing a project, you want to make sure that you are not exporting it from the straight up in the beginning, okay? So one way you can do is you can either decide to move this back a little bit, okay? This arrow back a little bit. So for example, as an arrow, this loop then, you can move it further back, okay? That is if you wanted to. But for me, for the purpose of me getting to the point, rather than doing that, I'm going to just bring it here a little bit, okay? All you want is a few seconds away. The reason is if you loop here, sometimes it might sound like a pop. So leave some room in the beginning. And then at the end too, you want to make sure you leave some room as well. Okay. So in the end, go ahead and leave some room as well. Right about here, sounds good. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay, cool. So now you have it looped the way it needs to be. Okay, so I would advise you anytime you are doing something like that, have it set up in this way. Okay, cool. And you can go ahead and double click this and come in here, make sure your fade tool is ready to go. One of the things I like to do is I like to straight up go and do my fade. I'm a fan of that. So I usually just do a simple fade. Sometime I'll just curve it a little bit like that. I just have to hear how it sounds like first. Okay, so it's cool, but I want it to fade a bit here. Let's see. Okay, so how it stops there, I want it to kind of fade earlier. So I probably should come here and probably fade it this way. And I can always cut it. I'm just starting. You guys see how the beat keeps playing? I could always cut it because that is just extra spaces. Right, and we can always reduce this. Let's hear how it sounds like. Yeah, like that is fine. But now what we're gonna do is we are gonna really cut it like that, okay? Well, we wouldn't want it to drastically do that, so we are going to kind of pull it back a little bit, I guess, then do that, okay? The point is we don't want the extra drums to be playing too much. You guys see how it fades out like that? Yeah, I can always cut it a little bit more. It's not a big deal. I can always cut it a little bit more. Cool. So now I can bend it a bit more maybe, and then pull it back. Oh, come on. It's perfect, but right now I realize something, the bass. So these are why you gotta be a sound engineer, right? So we are gonna have to go back to the project and see what is going on there. So we are not gonna close this. Don't close. We are gonna keep it open because we gotta figure out what is going on towards the end to make the bass kind of jump like that. It might be that there is, let me see the bass. It might be that there's some type of automation going on, or it probably is maybe because of the cuts we did. I just want to hear it and see. Okay, so it's because of our cuts. You see the bars are smaller here and the bars are bigger here, right? So that's what's causing that. You see smaller bars here, bigger bars here. It's because of our cuts. Let me see how bad is it. Is it that bad? We can just let go. It's not a big deal. Let's see. It might not be. So, okay. Well, one thing we could do is fine. I think we can just let it go. It's no big deal. It is a big deal to me, but we are going to let go of this one. The reason being, the end, there are no voices there anyway. So what I'm going to do in to help with that is I'm going to fade earlier, okay? I'm going to fade earlier. I'm going to fade earlier. Okay, so let's fade earlier. You see? So it blends. Okay, it's fine. All right, cool. So now that we got that going, there are a few ways we can go about with this, okay? I like to kind of have an idea of where I'm getting at as I'm working up. So usually I will put in a reference point, but it's okay. I know what I have to do. So I'm not gonna really do that. Let's look at this, where we are at right now without no mastering. So we are around negative 23, negative 22, somewhere around there, LUFS. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we are somewhere between negative 9 to maybe negative 14, but I always end up being around the negative 9, negative 7 range. You got to shoot for negative 9, negative 10, okay? Cool, to really have a good mix. So first things first, sometimes if I have a bad mix, the first thing I'll use is the Q1, just so that I can bring it down. In this situation, I'm not, because I don't need to do that, okay? So let's just say Q1 is not part of my chain for this, okay? And for the Vca meter, you know, it's another way of sometimes checking too, to see where you are at. All right, so usually I like to use those two, but for now, let's mute it. We're gonna keep just the WLM, okay? WLM plus, okay, which is the waves post-production loudness meter, okay? So waves loudness meter, that's what that is for. Okay, so let's go ahead and do, okay, that's another one to also use as a read. I think I like using that from Logic, okay? Right now, this is where we are at. By the time we finish, we should be close to this 0, okay? But not passing that 0, okay? By the time we finish, okay? Cool. There are other meters I like to use, but you know, that one is fine. Okay. So for now, we're gonna close one and focus on the WLM or waves loudness meter. All right, so first things first, we got to listen and see, are there certain frequencies we don't like what we are hearing, so we can cut out. So let's play through real quick. Let's see if we want to cut out certain frequencies. Another thing to also keep in mind, while we are starting, we are -9, -11, okay? So keep in mind on all those things, okay? Okay, I might not be saying it, but I'm watching all those stuff, okay? Let me take off the loop. Cool, anyways, let's get to the point. So we can do something like a Q6 maybe. Q6. Maybe Q6 or Q8. Let's start with Q10, Q6. Let's do Q6. Why does this thing not pull? Okay. Cool. So all right, so we can do let me change it up to a Q10 because I don't really want to affect it too much. So I want a lot of bands to work with, okay? So let's start with Q10, okay? Again, you don't have to do this if not necessary, okay? I just want to I'm just trying to observe a few things, okay? That's all. Like I said, you don't really have to push it too much, all right? But I'm just trying to see a few things, you know, especially on the high end where the guitars play. really want to affect it too much, but I'm trying to see something. I'm just trying to mess with it to see something, that's all. Yeah, I try not to do a lot of equalization. Doing mastering, but I'm just trying to see a few things, that's all. All right, cool. All right, it's fine. Yeah, let's move on. So one of the things I like to do is I like to do slide compression. So that we'll go for that. Okay, I like to do slide compression. Okay. So what I mean by that is I want it to compress just a little bit, okay? So I like to do that. Usually if I have to equalize, sure. I might come back to that, but we'll see. Not too much, just a little bit. Slide compression. Yeah, just light compression, nothing heavy. You guys, we just adding a little bit of excitement. It's already excited, but I just want to see, sample it just to see. So not much excitement, just a little bit, okay? We might check it out later, okay? Let's go ahead and add a vitamin, just to, well, yeah, let's do that first, and after that we'll do an imager. I usually don't like to do that, but I just want to test it out to see. So the cool thing with the vitamin is you can listen to different frequencies, okay? So that is why I'm using that, because I want to hear certain frequencies and put, you know, just kind of put more, you know, more of attention to those frequencies. So for example, for the low band, I want to put a little bit more attention. So we can do something like, let's do something like 1005. Sorry, did I say 1005? Vitamin. So we'll do something like 150. Actually, let's make 120. And for the low mid, I can't see, it's kind of hard for me to see. 500. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Let's make this. Why can't I type? Okay. Let's do like 5,000 there. And here, let's do something like 2,000. What this allow me to do? Okay, cool. And then maybe here we can do maybe 300. Sure. So something like that. And then let's hear how it sounds like. So I'm just going to be tweaking it, so just bear with me. So this thing here that I'm doing is just kind of letting you see how much I want it to spread out, okay? So if it's the bass, do you want the bass to kind of have a big width or more centered, right? So something like a bass, I want it more centered, but I'm just messing with it just to kind of see that stereo width, okay? All right. Let's reduce this to 200. Yeah. It sounds a little better. Let's check the other. The whole idea is by the time we finish, we want to have something that looks like a straight line, kind of, right? This one is too harsh, so we're going to use just a little bit. is fine, right? So what I'll do is, I'm just doing slight changes, right? Cool. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then now we are going to do something that I don't really do. I never do vitamin and the imager, but I'm going to do that with this project. It doesn't hurt. Where am I going? Excuse me. Okay, H-I-J-K-I-I-I. I don't even know where that is. Not the limiter. That reminds me. No, I want to use tape. Okay? I'm going to do a tape saturation. Yeah, let's do tape saturation. Okay? It's not that needed, but I kind of like it to kind of give it some type of warmth or tape feel. Okay? My battery is about to be done. Oh. Let's talk out until it starts acting up, then I'll change it. Okay. So here. Okay, so let's do the tape. Okay, let's hear how it sounds like. I'll bypass it first and I'll bring it in. So one thing with the tape is it usually has noise, like this noise. Okay, so I like to, just take it out. I don't like it. A little bit of noise is okay, but this here, I feel like, when you're about to play your song, then you hear this noise. It's cool, but nah. So you can take it out entirely or just use minimal. I'm going to use minimal because a little bit of noise is okay. Yeah. Right about there is cool. All right, so let's hear it. I like the tape because I like the the tape feel. I think we are working to -19. We are getting there. We haven't really done the actual intia. That's why it's like that. All right. So here, let me take these away. All right, and let's do the imager now. Okay. I wanted to do this before the imager because it's very important. S1 imager. There you go. So with the imager, you guys will see. So right now it sounds like this. And with the imager, we are just telling it we want it to be wide or narrow. So maybe play more here or be wider for us. Okay, so I guess the stereo width. Okay, stereo width. Okay, so that's what the imager is all about. Okay, you can do some presets if you want. I'm going to do my own. You see how it's so wide? You don't want it that wide, but I just want you to kind of see the impact. we turn it into a mono. You see that? So that is what the image is all about. So you have to find a good balance. Okay, it's going to be somewhere on this line somewhere, but whatever sounds good to you. You guys realize we started from 20 something and now we are around 1918. So we are going here. So I think for me personally, for a song like this is it for me. I don't really think I'll do the equalization like I was saying earlier, for the reason that I feel like it's not needed. Okay, it's not needed. Okay, so and then the other thing too is sometimes if you are doing a project and there's an empty space here, you want to fade that in. I'm not going to do that with this because this one starts straight up. Okay, so this is why I give my space so I don't lose any information. Okay, at the end it's okay for me to fade out. Okay, cool. So with this done, now I'm going to do, I usually like to do this type of bus, some bus compression, but I'm not going to do that with this project. Just for BBC, I don't know, for mono compatibility. So yeah, let's go ahead and put on a limiter. And for the limiter, we are going to go for the L3. Let's do the multi-maximizer. Ultra maximizer or multi-maximizer. Let's do multi. Let me see. Let me see the ultra. Let me see. I just want to see which one is which so I can know, because sometimes if that's the black one, okay, no, I want them all multi-maximizer. Cool. So here's the deal. With the multi-maximizer, what's going to happen is I'm going to put a lot more priority on the low end. Okay, first things first, let me set my numbers for the low end. So for this, we can set this to, let me see, it's hard for me to see because of where I'm, okay, 320, okay, sure. Let me start from the high end then. Let's do 5,000. Let's do 2,000. Let's do 5,000. Let's do 3,000. Nah, 2,000. Yeah. Let's do 800 maybe. Let's change it up a little bit. Somewhere here. Okay, let's do somewhere around 300. Let me see. No. Let's do 200 here. Yeah. Cool. All right. So those are just the crossfades. So now, because I don't want it to compress with the lows, I'm going to put a lot more priority on that, okay? First, let me change my articulation here to, the song is kind of busy, so I'm going to go between arc or aggressive, either one of them. It's not really a warm song, so I'll go for either one of these. For now, let's try the arc. After that, we'll try the aggressive, okay? So let's hear how it sounds like now. Let's go for aggressive, and then here we're going to put more priority on the kick, so it doesn't compress it, and then we are going to decrease the release so it reacts faster and not impact the kick too much. Okay, it's cool. It's cool. I think it's fine. It's cool. It's cool. So let's go ahead and do this ultra. I just want to test it out to see ultra. Let me hear it out of the speaker. Let me mute it. Okay, well, it's fine. I'm going to keep it ultra and aggressive. And then now we are going to do the actual final limiting. So the way I like to do limiting is I like to basically pull both the output ceiling and output ceiling and the threshold, okay? Then once I see that it's kind of distorting, the moment I see it's distorting, then I pull it up where I need it to be. Some people will just do a little bit under 0 just to start from that point, but I just like to do it this route. I'm used to doing it this route, so let's go ahead and do it. Anyways, what I'm doing here is called multi-band limiting, okay? Some people don't advise it, some people do advise it. I think you just have to understand what you are doing. You see right over there, it starts washing out. Okay, when it starts washing out, that's when you know you need to find a good range. Then that's what is going to tell you what your threshold is going to be at. Then you start pulling your output ceiling up to where it needs to be. Okay, so let's go for it. See, it's distorting, and it's distorting over there, and it's washing out. We don't want that. We want it to be clean, even as while we're trying to find the soft spot or the sweet spot. I like it right there. Then we're going to start pulling the output ceiling up. It's going to start getting louder. These numbers are going to start changing. We just got to find a good place to get it to, and we're good to go. And normally for the attenuation, I try to keep it between under -6. I try not to get it to past -6. Okay, so I'll be watching out for all those things. Okay, to get it to the sweet spot. You guys see how it's peaking over here? All right, and that's why we gotta watch out for all those things. remember I told you guys we want to end up somewhere between -9 and -12 or -14. We are at -11. So at -11, that means we are achieving our goal. Okay. The only difference is the limiting. Oh, I see what's going on. So the limiting is doubling up, so we don't even have the right numbers. That's why it's over compressing. So here, right here. All right, so let's see. That's why I was like, okay, why is it behaving like that? Because of the limiting that I was supposed to take out, and I forgot. Much cleaner. You guys see that? -11, that's pretty cool. So now let's check some of our other reeds that I like to use. Okay, now that we have it where we need it to be, I can now consider setting reeds. I think I want to add this one, reed metering. And let's do, which one is this one? Multimedia. I don't want the, no, not the loudness meter, because that one, I'm getting that over here. But let's do metering, and let's do, I think it's the level meter. Yep, the level meter. I just want to see how it's responding. I just want to see all these reads, okay? Because it's kind of important that you make sure you're not clipping. So remember I told you we want to get close to 0, but not peaking. If it was a bad mix, you will see that it will start going more to the reds, but it's even staying in 0, in yellow. So that's a good thing for us. And also one thing that to keep in mind, the more that the mix is going in the greens or something like that, it's telling you that, you know, it's doing well. Okay. You see how it's going in the greens? So it's telling us that it's pretty balanced. So let's go ahead and take this one to the bounces folder. A BB. And let's do master. Okay. Cool. All right.
mopu bonimu semesha yeswa kameme ebozi mo petro semesha yeswa men makayo bebre benti semesha yeswa men ne bachi bebre benti semesha yeswa men plim bebre benti semesha.
So there's one thing I have to do. I have to check from the speakers. So I'm gonna have to mute myself and check from the speakers as well, because we master from the speakers. I'm only doing on headphones because I'm doing a lesson, okay, or I'm talking to you guys. So let me hear from the speakers too. I do not like the fade out. I'm gonna have to change it. So let me work on that. Okay, so at this point, we are ready to round it up. So we are gonna bounce the PCM to wave 16-bit for final distribution. If you're ever going to be distributing to, if you're ever going to be registering or something like that, then you want to do 16-bit, okay? That is if you are. 44.1, as we already learned earlier, and everything stays the same, just like earlier. All right, highest killer kilobits per second, okay? Kilobyte per second for mono and stereo both. And that's it. We done. Congratulations, guys. We just did our master. So we go ahead and just type master. That's how I do my mixes. MIXX is for mix, and then MIXXX is for master, okay? And this one will go faster because it's not like the main project, okay? So it'll go faster. Well, there's a mistake we made. Guess what it is? You never bounce with this on, okay? You gotta turn it off or remove, okay? So just get used to removing it or turning it off, okay? So for now, to not cause any confusion, let's just remove it so we don't get confused, although we know what it is. All right, we check, make sure everything checks. 16-bit. All right, everything looks good. Normalize is off here, normalize is off there. Cool. We don't need to do real time because we're not gonna listen to it. And we got it in the right folder. And we do our master, and that's it. Congratulations, guys. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. All right, so we've gone through a mixing session and a mastering session together, okay? After we're done with this, we will listen to the mixing version and then the mastered version, and we'll see if it improved or it got worse. And like I said, this is just me doing rough mixing and rough mastering. I'll come back to it and make necessary changes if I feel like it. That's why I saved it. But it is really the process, okay? Yeah, I may come back just to kind of see if there are certain things that is too light for my taste, and certain frequencies I may want to cut out a little bit, you know, with some linear EQ or something. I'll think about that. But for now, I'm okay with it. I just have to listen to it and see what I have. Yeah. Okay, we got that done. Let's go ahead and save. And let's close. Well, do we need to close? Not really. Let's keep it here because of the background. I don't want to show my desktop like that. So let's go ahead and open the master and then the mix. And let's hear how both of them sound like. Okay, so first we'll start with the mix. First we'll start with the mix. Okay, first let's start with the mix. Then after that we'll do the master. Okay, cool. I think the vitamin, I wanted to make a tweak there, but it's all good. All right, cool. Let's hear the Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. All right, so this is the mix. Let's hear how it sounds like. that was the mix. Let's hear the master now.
Crack
All right, so the last thing I like to do is I like to pull the project, create a new project, and always bring the file in there just to see the cleanliness of the file, okay? So right now, I brought it in, okay, and I just want to go ahead and turn everything off here. This is a new, okay, to make it easier, let's do it this way. Don't save, file, new project. Okay, so now you can understand what I'm saying, okay? So now that it's like that, we are going to pull the no, not the MP3, the wave, the master wave in here. Okay. Okay, import. Cool. So now we brought it into a new project. See, in the same project, it looks weird, like it's very maxed out. I see it looks different here now that I brought it into a new project, right? So why am I doing this? Okay, two things. First things first, I want to come and check on the master to make sure that the reads are still good. Okay, so those are two important things. I want to come and check and make sure the reads are still good. Okay, so the loudness meter, no, not the loudness meter, metering, multimeter. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to turn them off. And the first thing is, when I play the audio, this audio needs to be 0 in the red. The red stands for it's limited, meaning it has a limiter on it, okay? So it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just saying it has a limiter on it, okay? So when I play it back, it should be at 0. All right, it's cool. So that's fine. I may come back to it, like I said, and make tweaks. For now, it's fine. So now let's check the loudness meter, okay? Let's see how that is corresponding. Still a -11, so that's good, okay? And then now let's check the multimeter and see if it's still maxing out at 0. As you can see, that is also showing early UFS around 11. Look in this section. The same number we got here is giving you similar number here, so that's a good thing. Cool, so we are good, okay? So that was a good session, all right? I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me get out of your way. That was how you mix and master a song. You guys went through the process and you have an idea, okay? Well, Minister Stein with you all. I go by SteinMix when it comes to mixing. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson and see you guys in the next video, okay? Alrighty.